You know, we live in interesting times. It's a Chinese curse that we live in interesting times. It may actually turn out to be a blessing, and that's why I'm here this morning. We've had almost exponential growth for the last 300 years. The Industrial Revolution, discovery of coal, power of steam, electricity certainly. This unparalleled growth has been a little bit like a booster rocket on a spaceship. It's allowed 1.5 billion, maybe 2 billion of us to reach levels of wealth and independence and freedom of thought than even our parents could have hardly imagined, let alone our grandparents. And yet, it can take us no further. It can take us no further because we're already using the resources of more than one planet to achieve this level of growth we have now. And for everybody to live at the level we're living now would take 4 planets. So we need to change something because we don't have 4 planets. And we need to come together in common consensus to design the new system, as engineers would design the second stage of a spaceship. The advantage with a spaceship is that you design the second stage while you're still on the ground. We design the second stage, which is where we're going now, whilst we're in flight. So there are risks, serious risks, but there are even greater rewards. This is not an age of change. This is a change of age. What I mean is the rules, the cultures, the understandings of the last 400 years won't serve us anymore. Let me share with you a moment of truth. I started in the early 70s, 1970 to be precise, a very, very, very successful firm of chartered surveyors. And in 1974, bought a mansion, a large home in Hampstead. And one day, as I sat outside this beautiful home in my, of course, 500 SEL Mercedes, I thought, is that it? Is that it? Have I arrived at the place where everybody aspires to be and considers they're a little bit anxious because they haven't got there yet? And now I'm here, and I'm still as anxious as I ever was. In fact, what was interesting was I realized that anxiety was like a coat hanger, and the clothes I'd hung on it up to the moment I'd bought the mansion was, will I ever make it? And the clothes I hung on it after I made it was, will I ever keep it? And that was a trauma for me, because I realized something very deep about human nature, that there's a part of us, the ego, which is continually feeling unsafe. My first remedy to the problem was to go out drinking for 3 years, which wasn't very effective or efficient, nearly ruined my liver, but brought me to a few home truths. And the home truths was there's a part of me that wasn't being nourished. I call it my soul, other people can call it what they like. So what was my soul asking me to do? It was much less concerned with me being unsafe as it was for me being in right action. And ever since the alcohol haze of the 3 years cleared, that's how I've intended to live my life. So let me share with you another story, and it's the intercontinental story. I managed, as JC explained, a $3 billion portfolio and sat on the main board, and felt a compulsion to create an environmental manual for hotels whilst I was there. But it wasn't very popular. We're talking about 1992. It wasn't popular at all. And the CFO would say, Lawrence, shareholder value. Don't talk to us about this fluffy sustainability nonsense, shareholder value. And the COO would say, quarterly bottom line, Lawrence? Talk to me about quarterly bottom line. You're here to increase the value of our properties, not to come up with fluffy ideas. But I knew an environmental manual was needed, and I was sick every morning into the sink when I woke up, knowing how they were trying to marginalize me on the main board for pushing this through. And for 3 months, every morning, I got up feeling terribly unsafe, but knowing that it was the right action. And luckily, I got the support of the CEO, and after 3 months of being sick in the basin, we created the manual, which we then offered to all the other hotel companies, much again to the anger of the remainder of the board. The other hotel companies then said, no, we'll do our own. And so we offered it to Prince Charles. And Prince Charles said he would take it as his manual. He invited us to Highgrove with the other five-star hotel chairman. They all accepted it as the Prince's manual. And as JC says, because of right action, it's now in 5 million hotel bedrooms worldwide. So I'd like to look at 2 words that are in our culture and need redefinition. The first one is prosperity. Currently, our understanding of prosperity is that it has to do with acquisition. The 4th house, the 5th car, the 6th yacht, the 7th aeroplane. Why not contribution? Why wouldn't prosperity and contribution be synonymous? I suggest that as we go forward into the future, the culture of prosperity will have more to do with contribution than it will to acquisition. What is so wonderful about Co is one sees so much contribution in this place. The other word, equally important, is security. Traditionally, we consider security as the capacity to protect ourselves against each other. But we have currently created such elegant challenges socially, environmentally, and economically that the only way we can solve them is by coming together as one global family to solve these problems. We can't do it anymore as individual nations. If one nation withdraws from an environmental initiative, the whole initiative will collapse. It needs global solutions. And that is true of our social challenges and our economic challenges. We should be looking at what's breaking through, what's breaking down. We should be looking at what's trying to emerge and try to get some feeling of where the future is wanting to take us. What is the next age that we're facing? What is the next opportunity that is being presented to us as a species and as a society? I think it has to do with consciousness. I think young people growing up today have great difficulty. You see, there's a wonderful line in the Bible that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And it seems to me that we're putting the pieces which are breaking through together to create that vision. And we don't yet have a firm vision of the future. And I think that's a great problem for young people, knowing that they won't have a better life than their parents, which for the last 5 generations we've all expected to happen for us, and yet not knowing where life is going to go. So there are the huge challenges, I think, for the youth at the moment. And of course the old model now, with jobs for everybody, is not going to be available. So they're going to have to redesign this spaceship. You know, the second stage doesn't look anything like the booster rocket. We have to let go of the booster rocket the last 400 years, but we're designing the second stage in flight. I shared some of my inner journey earlier on. I think there are 2 doors that take us from the material world on our journey to something less material, more subtle, and in my understanding, more real. And those 2 words are forgiveness and gratitude. So I'd just like to complete this speech to demonstrate my gratitude to everybody here for the work that you do, and to ask you all to think back on the week we've just spent together and the gratitude we could feel to the people who shared our dreams, our visions, our intentions, with the capacity to make them real. I'd like us to be in gratitude to the people who had the first vision of CO. I'd like us to be in gratitude of the people who helped to make all of this possible. I'd like us to be in gratitude to the people who encouraged us to be here and to share what we've shared today together. And most of all, I'd like to ask you to applaud yourselves for what could be an extraordinary platform that we're building here for tomorrow's world, for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. Thank you.